Okay, welcome everyone. This is our next version and next edition of Personal Achievement. We're on lesson 3. And before we get started, a little housekeeping items. I'm hoping this will help as this week you have your first group assignment. And a couple people have asked, do I need to have people in the class in my group? No, you could. But your group can be just one other person. And the case study allows you to do some discussing and sharing with another person or a group of people. But the group can be you and a friend, spouse, sibling, roommate, brother, whatever, sibling. But just go through the case study. Typically about half an hour is what it's going to take on that. And then just respond on that insight sharing assignment that you have as part of the class. Next week is when we start your personal creed document. And so I'll make sure in that class meeting to show you some examples of PCD1. It's also described very well in the textbook. And so you should be fine that way. But today we're doing a little lesson on time management. And as we discussed last week, in most lessons, we're going to talk about a law and an art. Well, today we actually have 2 laws and 1 art. The law of the clock, the law of opportunity. And the law of the clock, stated simply, is you cannot adjust time. Time marches on its eternal, predetermined pace. You know, you have 60 minutes in an hour, you have 24 hours in a day, you have 365 days a year. You cannot speed time up, you can't slow it down. It just moves. You can be good at managing the clock, but you can't change the clock. And then the law of opportunity simply states that there are going to be more things that you can do, could do, with the time that you have. So that's the choices that you have to make, which leads us to the art of discretion. And the art of discretion simply says, what do you do with the law of the clock and the law of opportunity and understanding the difference between vital and urgent? So I'm going to open up my chat to make sure I can see, because I'm going to ask you guys a couple questions, and feel free. Feel free to unmute your mic or use chat. Oh, I'm going ahead. Slow down. All right. Question 1. I want to ask you guys, when it comes to the law of the clock and law of opportunity, what are some of your biggest distractions? What impedes you or makes this hard? What are your biggest distracting things in your life? Throw them up on chat or unmute your mic and talk to me. Distractions. Social media. 1, 2, 3. Yes. I heard someone speaking.
Oh, entertainment.
Entertainment. Excellent. Yeah, thank you. Which is all of that, right? And what I'm seeing as I'm scrolling through chat, and you guys may be seeing some of this well, the first 3 right out of the gate were social media. Debbie says children and phone. Someone's got a husband that's distracting. Spouses can be very Netflix, video games, YouTube, food, socializing, friends, dogs. There you go. Your children. Awesome. Okay, that's a good distraction. Right? Well, I'm going to share with you my story about time management. And the reason I start with this question is I went to college 1 year before my mission, 1 semester before my mission, and then 4 years after my mission. And to date myself, that was 1979, my freshman year of college, and 1982 to 86, getting my bachelor's degree. And the point is, a lot of these distractions that you've listed, your phone, social media, texting, Netflix, YouTube, Hulu, we did not have any of those, right? We did not have email. This is going to sound crazy because you guys, a few of you might be a little bit older, but I went to Ricks College here in Rexburg, and I had to manage my schooling and my time. But to tell you what started right after my mission, ESPN started. Cable TV had 12 channels, right? Cell phones weren't invented yet, neither was email. Texting would be many years down the road. So the lesson I'm going to share with you today from my own life, you have to take with a little grain of salt, right? Because you are living in a different world. And I am subject to all of these things now as an adult, right? My phone is with me always, except when my kids steal it. So I'm not letting them have cell phones. My dinging and reminding and texts and emails, and the wonderful world we have of instantaneous entertainment. I was sick in first week of March. I didn't get tested, but I was down for a week. So did I have COVID? I don't know. Some people think that it was here already then, but I was sick for a week, right? So obviously I decided to get on Hulu and watch The Last Ship, right? I don't know if you watched The Last Ship, but it's about a pandemic. And I literally laid in my bed and watched an average of about 5 episodes a day. Well, I couldn't have done that in 1980. I probably would have cracked open a book, maybe a better thing, or laid in front of a TV and watched the limited number of channels that we had. Well, to give you my story, I went to college here, and I was benefited in 1979 to be able to come to Ricks College because it was open admissions, very much like BYU Idaho is now. But I was not a very good high school student. In fact, I was a very poor high school student, which reflected in my GPA. I'll just, in true honesty, I graduated from high school with a 2.2 GPA. And I took the ACT, actually the first day of classes at Ricks College. It wasn't required then, but they still had us take it. And I got a 17. Not great, not the worst in the world, but obviously not very good. My first semester at Ricks, my grades were like high school. I got an A in the easy classes, PE and religion, and I got C's, C minuses in my hard classes. So I had about a 2.3, 2.4 GPA. I got a mission call to go to the Philippines. I served 2 years in the Philippines, and I was ready to come home a week before classes started at Ricks. My mission president, who was a former university president, said, "Elder Davis, what are you going to do when you get home?" And I said, "I'm going to go to Ricks College." And he didn't ask me what my grades were, but he said, "Would you like to be a straight A student? Would you like to get straight A's?" And I said, "Of course." And he said, "I'm going to give you a simple strategy that if you follow this strategy, I will make you a promise. 2 things will happen. 1, you'll never cram for a test. And 2, you'll get straight A's." So I listened, and this was his advice. He said, "Elder Davis," I made a little graph, "when you get home, I want you to start your school day at 8 a.m., and I want you to quit at 5. I want you to take your classes in the morning, and I want you to do your homework in the afternoon. But every day, you start at 8 and you quit at 5. And he says, I want you to put your books away when you get home, and I don't want you to touch them until the next morning at 8 o'clock. He says, if you do that, you will get straight A's. So what does that sound like to you guys? What is my mission? What did my mission president teach me at that moment?
Discipline.
Discipline. Excellent. Okay, thank you. A normal work day. Thank you, William. And Debbie says a job. It's just like a job. Okay. So I came home. I registered early. I started my day at 8. And that's one of the things about college living. It's different now that we're all self-isolating and doing this remote stuff. Some of you are probably taking regular classes at a regular time. You're just looking at your teacher through a screen. But a lot of college students, they'll take their first class at 10 or 11. Well, without this lesson and without a little discipline, I would have done the exact same thing. I would have slept in and gone, my first class is 11. I'm getting up at 9:30, getting ready. I'm not doing any schoolwork until my school day starts. Okay. So tell me what you guys think. is this a good idea? Well, first of all, I did this, and for the first time, and a lot of it was because I was had been on a mission, learned some discipline, learned a little better work ethic, had a little more motivation. My first semester back, I got straight A's. I got like half A's and half A minuses, but they were still all A's. Okay, so tell me, would this work for you? What would it not? Why? You go ahead. This Candy?
Ironically, this is my last semester and I forgot taking the class. Cool. Anyway, very early on my first semester, I learned I will not go to a class if it is after lunch. It is so easy for me to skip a class.
Yeah.
Had too big of a break in between my classes. And so this is kind of a schedule I followed my whole college career, basically.
Yeah.
So I like it. I think it's great.
Okay, awesome. Now, Danae asked the question, it is very good if you don't have to work. Some of you are working, right? Even if you're on campus, regular semester, regular time, you're going to have a job, okay? And Jefferson agrees with Danae. So here was my challenge, right? Someone mentioned up above that on the chat that they have a little ADHD. So do I. I have a little bit of the alphabet soup, right? I have a little OCD and a little ADHD. So for me to do the class, I can do class after class after class because you have a natural break in between classes. But doing homework from 1 to 5 in one big block was murder, right? And so I, second semester, adjusted it because I need a little break from the routine. And so I still started at 8 and ended at 5, but I would insert classes and homework throughout the day. So I take a class, do homework, class, lunch, homework, class, homework. Now, the beauty of doing this was and true to my mission president's advice, I didn't have to cram for tests, or I didn't have any late night paper writing sessions, because if I was done at 3 o'clock with the pressing stuff, I was committed to doing a full 8 hours. So I'd say, okay, I'm done at 3 o'clock. All the pressing stuff is done. I want to still work until 5. So what can I do to get a head start of something that's a week away or 2 weeks away? And Alexa's making a really great point. She finished actually in 2015 and studied economics and learned that discipline is very important. And that's translated now into her work world. All right. Now let's answer the question mark. So I did this my second semester, but then as life happens, I met my future wife the third semester, and then I was engaged, and then I got married. Well, I'm from Rexburg, so I lived at home, worked at home, and I didn't necessarily have to work. I did a little bit of stuff, but I didn't have to do a lot. So my next semester, I needed to throw in a 3 hour a week, 3 hour a day job. But I was still committed to this schedule or a version of it. And so for me, because I was working 3 hours a day and still wanted to devote 7 to 8, preferably 8 hours to school a day, I just started earlier, and I would take an abbreviated lunch, and then I would insert that work schedule. And I would try to quit about 6 o'clock. So any thoughts or comments before we talk about how this applies to this week's reading?
I wanted to say something really fast.
Thank you.
Something that I struggled with like growing up is that there's like an endless to-do list. And that would like cause like anxiety in a sense. I didn't know at the time, but it would, because you're like, oh my gosh, there's always something to do and it never ends. And something that I've really adapted since being home from my mission is that if you just like say, okay, like I have an hour, I'm going to do this and I'm going to get as much stuff, or I have 2 hours, I'm going to get as much stuff as I can done. And then I'm going to take a break and like go for a walk outside, or go play with my puppy, or go play with my kids, like whatever that is. Like if you give yourself like time constraints where you take and schedule the break time in and schedule like schedule the study time or the homework time in, I find that it's a lot more successful because like there is an end to your study time, and maybe it's not 8 hours, maybe it's only 2 hours, but there's still an end, and it's still like doesn't cause as much stress as I'm going to be doing homework for the rest of the day, and I really don't want to do that. But
well, you've given a preview of what I'm going to end with here. And one of the values of doing this, thank you for that, Natalie. One of the values of doing this is we are creatures of habit. And every semester will not be the same as the previous semester because of schedule, work, it's not going to be exactly the same. But you get into a rhythm of 8 to 5 or whatever works best for you. And this may not work best for you, for your personality or life circumstances, but you get into a rhythm. And your body and mind just say, okay, this is the time I'm in class. This is the time I'm studying. This is the time I usually take a break and go walk the dog or play with my kids, as you mentioned, okay? So the way this works, how do I get off of this? There we go. Why this works, okay? And this is where the law of discretion comes in, the art of discretion. There's a difference between vital versus urgent. A homework assignment that's due tomorrow or a test that's up and coming is like today or tomorrow, if you haven't studied for it or if you haven't prepared for it, it becomes urgent. So if you manage this well and keep ahead of the game by putting in the time, having some discipline, you try not to have any urgencies, right? A paper that you've been working on for 3 weeks and it's due in 3 weeks and then you just put in the finishing touches, it never becomes urgent because you've been at it. You're not cramming. Delaying gratification is a true principle, right? It works. And the way this translates to you when you get into your after college life, most of you are going to have jobs that have both fun and not so fun things. But some of the not so fun things are still important things that have a deadline or that you have to do. It could be a report. It could be, we have things that are like that. Well, I get to work and I have a fun project and I'm excited to start on it and I work on it all day and I put off the yucky thing. And then the next day I come in. Well, eventually the yucky, non-fun, but important thing has a deadline. And so I say, all right, I'm going to bite the bullet. I'm going to cram. I'm going to do it. And I end up doing C work. Well, the delaying gratification is planning your daily life so that you take care of the important, not fun things first, and you delay that gratification of the fun thing. The rewards for doing this is I got better grades. I ended up graduating with my bachelor's degree with about a 3.85, which no one thought I could do that, but I proved I could. And I graduated with a master's degree with a 4.0, right? Well, it's because I didn't ever cram. Now, you kind of have to throw out finals week, right? When finals week hits, like everything comes at once. And so finals week, that week, it's not 8 to 5, it's 8 to 9, right? And there are times when you feel like you're cramming. The other one is guilt-free fun. If you're with an activity and you're with BYU Idaho students, it could be an intramural game, it could be a movie, it could be a trip to wherever. You don't want to be at that event at 9 o'clock at night and you're having a blast, but it's bothering you in the back of your mind. When I get home, I still have to do this, right? Well, if you do this smartly, you'll not have evenings when you're having fun that's hampered by the fact that when you get home, you got to still do your homework. And these habits translate into success, okay? These are the barriers. Habits are hard to break. Distractions are many. Natural tendencies to procrastinate. And we don't do stuff until the monkey on our back is pounding us on the head so hard that we can't ignore it anymore. So Benjamin Franklin, I sent this out in our announcement. If we take care of the minutes, we'll take care of ourselves. And just a little study skills tidbit, right? When I came home off my mission, I was committed to working hard, but I didn't have good study skills. I got a job working in the reading lab as a tutor. And right then, back at how the college was situated, right next to the reading lab was the study skills lab. So on my own, I'd go over and do the modules. And there's a bazillion ways. There's so much you could learn, like note taking and memory methods and textbook and test taking and blah, blah, blah. But the thing I remembered most, simple 3 things. You'll have better success studying if you get in a rhythm of studying at the same time. Your body just says it's time to study. The second, find a same place to study. Study at the same place as much as you can. It could be at the library, it could be in your apartment, in a quiet spot, and don't study where you do other things, okay? Don't study at the kitchen table where you eat. Don't study at the couch where you watch TV. Don't study in the bed where you sleep, right? Because your mind is going to be just, that's how we are. It's just going to be confused. So just to sum up for this week, let me talk to you about your schedule. I'm not going to go in and grade your schedule with a critical eye, right? That's your schedule. It's an exercise to help you. I'm not going to go in and say, you don't have enough sleep, or you don't have enough hours, or why are you breaking it up? Why aren't you following 8 to 5? No, it's an exercise for you. You're going to do it. I'm going to give you some points, but I'm not going to go in and really grade it. I'm just going to see that you did it, okay? Regarding the case study, the group assignment, it can be one other person. Take 20 to 30 minutes going over those questions, respond to them. Pick someone who might have a little interest in the topic, and I've seen some people chatting, at least one said, if you want to find somebody from this group to pick a time and hop on a medium like this, or phone call or whatever, FaceTime, you can do it with other class members as well. Next week, we start personal creed document assignments. And then we'll just get going on it. This stuff's interesting. There are 2 or 3 times during the semester. This week is one where you are invited to read something that we threw in there. This week it's The Good, Better, Best talk by Elder Oaks, one of the great talks of all time. It's for your enjoyment and as a reinforcement to this topic. It's not going to be on a quiz or graded. It's just for you to read. If you don't read it, you don't lose anything other than the benefit of having a really great inspirational message. Okay, any questions that anybody has before we, and again, I'll sign off the recording here in a minute, but stay on if anybody wants to visit with me personally. If not, any questions as a group before we stop the recording? All right. Okay, well, we'll set a time next week to meet. I'll do it earlier in the week. I'll try to do that on Tuesday at the earliest, because we're going to talk personal creed document, and I'm going to show some examples. So till then, we'll see you next week. And if you have any questions, stay on and we can chat. Thank you.